Yes.
I'll come to you, Eric. Daniel. When the president throws his hands up in the air saying that, you want me to do what? And we have the government spokesperson, Eric Raide, in 2017 said that the government has budgeted for corruption and is on record just last week saying that the suspects have using the stolen money to drill probe. Well, this is scheme in place, even for the president, to make it even hard for the president to overcome. Do you foresee us making the deadlock at the moment, and what needs to be done differently?
But now you see, and you've rightly put it. This is what I was saying, that the president has executive powers, and you see, having an executive power is not something that he just wish away. He can make heads roll when he wants. Not really political goodwill, but he has executive powers to make orders and things happen. So one of the things that probably from what you're asking, it is true that somebody has to be proven guilty in all this. That is probably the law demands on how that is it. But let me tell you, it is the prerogative of the head of state and the executive to actually, I like the time he used, to resign, to make somebody resign if you've been adversely mentioned in a corruption issue, without an apology, to say that you have to resign when you're adversely mentioned, paving way for investigation, not stepping aside. You actually have to leave. With this magnitude, with this mega corruption, and you've been mentioned once or twice, the other side, also on the other point, you see, you don't need to come back later and appoint somebody with a corruption history back to a state office or back to become your public servants. If really, why do you give with the other hand and take away with the other hand? You see, it's our undoing. But like I mentioned, Ayub, and exactly what Nina's, the breaking news is given to us, I said here before, we are looking towards what the president will address the nation. And one of the things he will say, that I have begun cracking down on corruption cartels, and in fact, I have begun making public arrests. Trust me, this will be in his address. And we are looking at example. He will give us an example of now the director, and the others who are still coming. But look, it's not only the president and the executive. Even the Public Accounts Committee, when one principal secretary was summoned before, you know, I thought it was going to be a very vigorous kind of questioning and
grilling process.
And really, what did we see? People are smiling. You know, you are smiling with somebody who actually have been adversely mentioned. Why could you ask the toughest questions? And you see, I checked at the Twitter of the chairperson, one Opio, and he actually said this morning he's waking up to going to be a very thorough exercise. At the end of the day, you know, what are we treating the nation to?
It wasn't as thorough as you thought it would be.
It wasn't a thorough. People are actually smiling, and you see people asking lean questions. And, you know, to me as a citizen, I was very disappointed by that process. And trust me, what to come, even those arrests are actually going to end up in bails. And at the end of the day, heads are not going to roll.
Bail is a constitutional right.
Which is a constitutional right. But my friend, let me say this. We are not going to be involved in circus in this country. And this I say probably with a lot of vigor in it. Where somebody is adversely mentioned, he finds his way back to the office, appointed again, and you see, what are we are glorifying corruption and giving guys, we are actually teaching our children that it's good to steal public money. At the end of the day, you'll be bailed out, you are going to run for a position, and you'll be elected unanimously, and your name is going to be in the front pages as a hero. This is the culture that we are seeing, and this is what we are socializing the next generation to. And we are not taking it lightly.
In fact, to add on that, Mr. Abdi, if we go in circles about this thing, we will not heal our nation. A doctor, once you take a patient to the doctor, he goes straight to the root cause of the disease. Mswahili husema, ukimheshimu mwanamke bibi yako sana, hamwezi mkaishi pamoja mkazaa mtoto. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu umemheshimu zaidi, hutaki kuona uchi wake. Unaona? Mimi nataka kusema nini? We must speak the truth. We must tell the president, you have your executive powers that can move things, that can make things happen. that can make people, resign people, step aside for investigations to be done. The executive powers give him the prerogative of saying that particular investigation was not done quite well. Let us have another independent investigation. If at all we don't do that, please, we are headed nowhere. I'm telling you for free.
What we must appreciate is that we are not a lawless country. And even as we fight corruption,
I think Kenya has enough laws.
we must fight that corruption within
We have
the
a very
confines
strong
of the law.
constitution.
One of the most admired constitutions.
Yeah.
We must fight everything within the confines of the law,
Okay.
so that we do not end up solving one problem and creating another. What I'm hearing being suggested is, you know what, throw the laws out of the window, deal with this thing fists on, you know, give executive powers,
Sometimes
do
we
this,
have
do
to
that, do that. No.
Don't you think?
Sometimes.
But
Well, that will be a clear violation of the constitution.
What
of
needs
course,
to
it is a
happen?
clear
Yeah.
violation of the
What
constitution.
needs to happen?
Because we
after,
failed.
after
We-
what you have,
No.
after what we have seen with these different scandals, we have Grand Regency, May scandal, NYS, Straton scandal, Cemetery
And we
scandal,
still have a law.
Anglo-Lise, MOH scandal, Langata Primary School
Yes.
scandal, fighter jet scandal, NCPB, not once.
Yes.
Yes? And we have this same constitution. What do you expect Kenyans to feel? As
Enforce-
a taxpayer,
enforce-
Charles,
enforce-
what do you expect a Kenyan to go through?
Enforce,
We are
enforce the
corrupting the
law.
law.
That is the thing. The issue is there is lack of enforcement of the law in this country.
Who will make it to be
And that
enforced?
lack of enforcement of the law, whereas the president cannot be removed out of it, as the head of the executive arm, he is in charge of that aspect of enforcing the law. When you come to the judiciary, it has its part. Parliament has its part. That is why we are a country that we espouse separation of powers so that there are checks and balances.
But
The issue is these checks and balances are not working in tandem. They are not working all together, such that Parliament is not checking the executive, and the judiciary probably needs to do more as well in terms of checking both Parliament and